dude. And Joe was able to manage it and get the best out of that group. So I always give him respect to be able to do that. I mean, that was crazy.
It's good stuff, man.
Hey, man, I give you what I got, man. I ain't counting the soda, but
So let's wrap this up with this. There's a lot of youngsters here. What would you say for them as they go forward in their lives? Word of advice.
Well, I think the number one thing is that you know, the game of baseball teaches a lot of different lessons. You got to really think about the game of baseball. I think the game of baseball has helped me more. You know, when I've run into adversity, it's helped me get through that adversity. Meaning that, you know, playing them games, being around my teammates, being with people that you love, all those things have helped me in my life. I've been through some issues, me and my boy. I've been divorced, I've had some issues. But you know what? I think the game of baseball has taught me that, you know what? And a good friend of mine told me one time, Willie Gary, who's a prominent attorney in Stuart, Florida, he told me, Seth, bad news comes, but bad news goes. He said, today's paper, tomorrow it ain't even in the paper no more, so you're going to be all right. And I think just playing the game, because we realize that if we don't get 4 hits or we don't go deep, they talking about us. The next day it's gone. And I think kids, you know, we lost a lot of kids during the Michael Jordan era of basketball. But I see those kids coming back to baseball now. Me being in this travel ball era in Georgia, which Georgia is a big travel ball state. I mean, I'm seeing these kids getting interested again in baseball, and I love it because it gives me an opportunity. And Cash Beecham said it best to me one time. He said, you know what? You have an obligation to give back to these kids. And I was kind of mad at him because, what do you mean I have an obligation to give back to the kids? Man, what are you talking about? And after a while, I understood what he was saying, because in my career, and you know, Harold, when we first came into the league, man, them veterans had our back.
Yeah.
And I think what we have to do, myself as an instructor, a person that's played the game, we get an opportunity to be around the kids. We got to give those kids, not only do we have to give them the opportunity to play the game, but we have to give them the knowledge to play the game the right way. And that's what I try to do here, you know, down in Georgia with all my kids, is just, look, we're going to play the game right way. If we got an 8-run lead, we ain't stealing. We ain't stealing. Because if you get up in college or professional baseball and you at first base and you run when y'all lead by 8 runs, you're going to get somebody hurt. So again, if we teach them the right way to play, by the time those kids get up in high school and get opportunity to be around some of these high school coaches who are a lot sterner than we are, they're going to be able to make the adjustment. But if we don't teach the kids the right way to play and don't give that knowledge back to the kids, then we're not doing this generation any good. So my whole thing is that I got to give it back. I'm going to pass it along. Whoever wants to listen, I'm going to give it to them. And then I can feel good about myself when I go home. Because if I get these kids all the knowledge that I've been able to attain over the years of not only playing professional baseball, but even some of the stories that I tell about, you know, me as a kid growing up. I mean, that's what we got to do to get these kids to a position where they're going to be not only successful baseball players, because there's going to be some that are in this room that are going to get that opportunity, but we want successful people. We want brilliant people. We want positive people. And that's what we have to give back to our kids, because, you know, if you go back to South Central, you go back, you know, in these places in Georgia, all over the country, we're losing kids left and right. I mean, there's more kids going to jail than there are going to school. And I think we got to grab some kids. Some of those kids that don't have the wherewithal, and that's what we try to do. We try to sponsor kids to be able to play the game of baseball, because it's not cheap. But if you can go get those kids, give those kids the opportunity to be around these kids, other kids that have it a little bit better than them, I think they start to have that same mindset as those kids that have more than them and want to have what they have, and they're going to work just as hard.
That's good stuff. Now, last thing before we let you go, Cecil and Cecil is spelled the same.
I'm French.
You're French.
Cecil.
Cecil.
Yeah.
So how'd you come up with Cecil and not Cecil?
That was my mama's doing it. My mama was here, she probably jammed you up, but my mama said it was Cecil, and that's all that matters. It's Cecil. I gotta change people's mind about that all the time, girl, but you know, I've been doing it my whole life.
There you go.
They call me Cecil, I just, nah, bro, that ain't gonna make it.
Cecil Fielder. Big Daddy, baby. Thank you very much.
Let's hear it for Harold and Prince's dad.